Dr. Nadira. We are happy to have you here.
Namaste Pujadi and namaste to the listeners. Generations to come will scarce believe that one such as Mohandas Karamchand Gandhi has walked the earth in flesh and blood. Happy heavenly birthday to Mohandas Karamchand Gandhi, our Bapuji. I am Nadira Maraj of Amkamas, formerly of Kennedy Road in Durban, KwaZulu-Natal, South Africa. Coincidentally, my late Bapuji, Mr. Hari Krishan Shiv Prasad Mizra Maraj, also celebrated his birthday within the range of Bapu, and that was yesterday. Happy birthday to him as well. Gandhi Jayanti is celebrated on the 2nd of October every year to mark the anniversary of Mohandas Karamchand Gandhi, who was famously known as Mahatma Gandhi, father of the nation, as he was called. He led India's freedom movement along with many other international leaders against the British rule in India. The International Day of Non-Violence is marked on 2nd October, the birthday of Mahatma Gandhi, leader of the Indian independence movement and pioneer of the philosophy and strategy of non-violence. For the Indian liberation struggle, he founded the Satyagraha and Ahimsa movement. As the father of the nation, he spearheaded India's independence struggle alongside many other national leaders in opposition to British rule in India. His non-violent approach influenced numerous civil rights campaigns across the world. One such country that owes its allegiance to this great philosopher is South Africa, where Mahatma Gandhiji left a footprint that resonates within the history of the civil rights movement and the apartheid struggle that we only overcame in 1994 when the non-whites were freed from the shackles of oppression. I walk you through to the footprints of our honored, revered, and amazing Mahatma Gandhiji, Bapu as we called him. The 20th century has seen three great leaders: Mahatma Gandhi of India in the East, Martin Luther King in the United States, and President Nelson Mandela in Africa, South Africa, who advocated and followed the non-violent method to attain freedom. Like Gandhi, Nelson Mandela fought the injustices with love, respect, and non-violence. Besides common personal feelings about right and wrong as a common influence in the lives, both Gandhiji and Dr. King, their feelings about this non-violence resonated in Gandhi's thorough essay on the civil disobedience program that he followed. The civil rights movement led by Martin Luther King Jr. was actually inspired from Gandhi's teachings. Nelson Mandela was in many ways during his lifetime a practitioner of Mahatma Gandhi. Mahatma Gandhi's philosophy of Satyagraha, or the truth force, passive resistance, and ahimsa, or non-violence. Mandela referred to Gandhi as his role model and was inspired by Gandhiji to lead South Africa's journey to independence and was sometimes referred to as the Gandhiji of South Africa. While Mandela and Gandhiji never met before, both were linked by a passion to end oppression and bring about the change, and took up the cause of their respective colonized countries and their subjugated people, inspiring them to resist oppression. Gandhiji's philosophy and approach left an indelible mark on Mandela, and it shaped his socio-political journey into South Africa. Though we cannot really compare both leaders, Mahatma Gandhi and Nelson Mandela, some of the similarities in the two leaders include Gandhiji's emphasis on moral power being a force to reckon with, and Mandela, too, believing in the power of moral uprightness. Both were lawyers who spent time in jail in Johannesburg's Old Fort Prison. Gandhiji served it in 1906 and Mandela in 1962. It is said that during Mandela's prison terms of 27 years in Robben Island in Cape Town, where the room was full of books of Gandhiji and other classics of Gandhiji, he spent his time meditating and reflecting, and that is what let the bitterness out of Mandela's soul. Mandela and Gandhiji shared the conviction that all suppressed people, whatever religion, ethnicity, or caste, must stand together against their oppressors. Mahatma Gandhi was born on the 2nd of October, 1869. He was a lawyer, politician, astrologer, author, researcher, and philosopher of life. His non-violent, humanistic, philosophical and personality is remembered with respect to the entire world. His utopianism arose out of his love for humanity. Gandhi was a humanist, shall we say, from the first moment of his self-conscious. He firmly believed that the goodness of the individual formed the constituent part of the goodness of his society. So, if we look at some of the principles of Gandhi, and let's say the first one was, he said, a spirit of service. He spoke about a spirit of service. The best way to find yourself, according to Gandhi, is to lose yourself in the service of others. How better to put it when we are in this time of our serving our mother? It's a Mother Prayer Week. And the service that we do during this time is exactly what Gandhi was speaking about. And Gandhiji spent his life working towards uplifting the downtrodden and empowering the weaker sections. On multiple occasions, he took up the fight for justice on behalf of people. He struggled against racial discriminations of the Indians in South Africa, the champion of Satyagraha, the Satyagraha movement in 1917, the Kedar movement in 1918. These are not just all. Also, let's talk about his formation of the Harijan Sevak Sangh in 1932 to eradicate untouchability, which is something that is so near and dear. And we are talking about inclusive education. Exactly, that was inclusive education in the roots of making during 1932, may I say. Gandhi was a part of the civil disobedience movement in 1930 to 1932 and the Quit India movement of 1942. So his social work left as much impact as his political leadership. So how do we take the spirit of service from Gandhi and put it into our personal life and make a difference to ourselves and our society? I say, as an academic, selflessness is becoming an increasingly rare commodity. Most professional and personal relationships today are transactional. Everyone is primarily worried about their narrow self-interests. As opposed to this is the spirit of service, where we seek to help others without expecting favors in return. Through simple actions in our everyday life, we can develop the mindset of a spirit of service. Some of these actions that you can take on is, for example, going out of your way to help your friends and colleagues, responding to people who might be out of reach for help. That means they could come to you in the form of social media or in-person people. Supporting good causes with our time and money. Not necessarily all your money, but the little extra that you have. Also, we can go out helping people who work for us. Our helper, our tailor, our barber, the milkman, the car wash guy, and we can go on, the list can go on about people that walk your path in the day that need your help. If each one helps people in their cycle and their circle of influence, imagine the compounding effect this would have on the international arena. So, when I look at seek the truth tells us quite a bit. There is no higher God, there's no higher God, according to Mohandas Karamchand Gandhi, than truth. And Gandhiji equated truth with God. His techniques of Satyagraha was based on the force of truth. It led to the attainment of true knowledge and fulfillment. According to him, in the march towards truth, anger, selfishness, hatred, etc., naturally give away for otherwise. Truth would be impossible to attain if we keep on hanging on to these bad vices. Now, when we speak about this idea of truth, it's not about this superficial truth. We need to apply it in our personal life. We cannot say we must be honest and we must do good when we literally do not do good. So how do you apply Gandhi's philosophy? I would say, in my view, is being truthful implies the following: do the right things, even if nobody is watching you or giving you a pat on the back. An attitude of questioning everything about ourselves and our society without blindly accepting anything. This help develops critical thinking within ourselves. It's an introspective kind of thinking, I would say. Consistently examining our behavior and actions, we should not shy away from admitting our mistakes. This helps accelerate our self-development. Also, I think not being too quick to judge the intentions and motives of others, that's also a kind of truth. We should be willing to give others the benefit of the doubt. The second, I would say, when Gandhiji's principle that has inspired me is lead by example. You must be the change you want to see in the world. I think the saying is said over and over and over again. And in South Africa, many people use this as an opening statement when they're doing an academic presentation. And it enjoys my heart. It enlightens me. Now, Gandhiji was one of those leaders who practiced what he preached. That's the difference. Knowing it and not practicing it is two different things, I'd say. So to drive home the message, we'll talk about Gandhiji's message was his Swadeshi. He dressed in simple cotton clothes, or his dhoti. How pleasant that look. How inexpensive when we all are going for designer brands all the time. To drive home the importance of dignity of labor, he cleaned the toilets, took on to the charkha to spin his own clothes, and he did all his personal work on his own. Gandhiji's other philosophy about leading by example was to connect better with the masses he was leading. He resorted to simple and a lifestyle that was less of frills and fancies. Now, people, now the greater arena, I am saying how beautiful it is if each one of us revert to this kind of lifestyle. In your personal life, we can imbibe this, we can accept this, we can embrace this. In today's world of cutthroat competition, everyone wants to be a leader and climb up the corporate ladder. In the process, we set sky-high expectations from others around us. The kind of qualities we expect from our colleagues and juniors, the sincerity, punctuality, the devotion to duty, attention to detail, etc., should first be cultivated within ourselves. We need to set standards for ourselves before setting standards for others. All right? So I am saying, when Gandhiji came to South Africa, he did not only bring himself, he showed the world that he was a family man. And I'm just going to go a little bit into Gandhi so that we only not explore him, but we talk more about his family as well. So Gandhiji came to South Africa with Mrs. Kasturbai Gandhi, his wife, and they arrived in South Africa in 1897 with their two sons, Manilal and Hiralal, who were then present. Gandhiji earned about 5,000 to 6,000 pounds a year from his legal work in South Africa. In South African money, that was a very, very large income. Now, before going to study law in London, Gandhiji yearned to become a doctor. And in effect, he always was one. I'm talking about this because this was in South Africa where he came out and he brought the goodness not only of law, but being of a doctor. One of them was Luther Sin, who was asthmatic. Gandhi induced him to give up smoking and to fast. Later, Gandhi put him on a diet of rice, milk, and marmalade for a month. And after the end of the month, Gandhi boasted his success right up until the day he passed over, when he said this Ludvasan was freed totally from asthma. Now, how beautiful. Somebody who did law also could practice medicine. Now, Gandhi was also had a problem where an Indian businessman's son became very ill suddenly. The doctor advised an operation. So this businessman called on Gandhi. He summoned Gandhi. To calm the father, Gandhi agreed to be present at the operation procedure. The child died under the knife, but Gandhi shook off the impression and gave the father that hope, when the father could see that this was beyond the hands of the doctor. Gandhi was also somebody remarkable, and to me, this really, really told me something. Gandhi's wife, Kasturbai, he went and studied a popular childbirth. When she was pregnant for her fourth son, Gandhi Ji went and studied obstetrics and infant care. And when her labor came too soon and too swift for professional help to be fetched, Gandhi himself delivered his fourth son, Devdas, on the 22nd of May, 1900. Now, of course, I said first son, second son, Devdas. There is a third son, by the way, and his name is Ramdas. Now, Gandhiji, when he arrived in South Africa, he bought a farm near Phoenix, a town that is 22.5 kilometers from Durban. That is, Durban is the capital of KwaZulu-Natal in South Africa. Without delay, his printing press offices of the Indian Opinion paper was transferred to this farm, or the Tolstoy farm as we call it today. And this Tolstoy farm in Inanda, South Africa, which I said to you was in Phoenix, near Phoenix, it's actually in Inanda, has become a tourist destination, and people visit the site. As I speak right now, we have a very big celebration taking place at his Tolstoy farm. He did a great deal of legal work for the Indians, who entrusted him not only with the litigations, but about also saving their money. The Indian indentured laborers knew Gandhi as their champion with authorities and also in the court. He doctored them. Those who became free and accumulated wealth often gave him their money to keep. They had no knowledge about banking, and they had little faith in their leaders at that time. So Gandhi was entrusted to give them this kind of support. Simplicity is the essence of universality, and that was Gandhi's saying, and that mantra that he always spoke of, simplicity. Guys, this is something I cannot go on reiterating. If you are simple, you are dynamic. Gandhiji's embodiment of simplicity in so many ways showed that he walked his talk. His clothes, his adherence to principles of truth and nonviolence, his Spartan lifestyle, etc. This helped him to remain focused in his life's mission and also endeared him to his masses. So, of course, by me just talking about his simplicity, we as citizens, we as people that want to make a difference, must apply this in our personal life. Modern life is so complicated. We have appearances to keep up a network, to expand, and the riches that we have to accumulate more and more. People have become the means to an end with things and have become so much involved in materialism that they have forgot to be simple. I believe that a single-minded pursuit of the material acts as a breeding ground for negative emotions are definitely that comes out when people show their greed, their anger, and their jealousy. It may also lead to us becoming dishonest and manipulative. So, in my view, I totally confer that being simple is the gold dust of one's soul. Simplicity in your lifestyle will sparkle in your personality. To me, simplicity means focusing on the big things, the goals, rather than the shallow things. What you do to others. Don't think about yourself. Don't try to impress person X or A or B. How did he reach such a high position? Worry about yourself rather than looking and honing into others. I also think you must develop a value system and stick to it. It makes it easier to take decisions. An added benefit that it helps people earn another person's respect by sticking to your own plan. My other belief is that finding happiness and joy in smaller things rather than being extravagant. The maxim of simple living and high thinking frees our energy to do things that matter most. Having faith in yourself, Have faith in yourself. Definitely, I'd say. First, people will ignore you. Then they'll laugh at you. Then they'll fight with you. And then you must win when you are simple. So Gandhiji say you can take on the mighty colonial empires and you can prove them wrong. But you can only do this unless you have an indomitable will. Imagine the kind of challenges Gandhiji would have had to contend with. So Gandhiji, the violence that he unleashed by the police, the administrators to break loose of the spirit of the people deviating from the principles on which the struggle was based. So internally he had the strife of his within the party to create a divergence of thought amongst people. And I think his personal issues show us a lot about how he did not worry about the people. When we apply this to our life, we know that life is hard. There are so many roadblocks towards achieving our dreams and aspirations. We have to win over our internal demons. We need to have the support of close people around us. We need not be in the right place at the right time. And we need to navigate the politics and the treachery that is unexpectedly thrown unto us. So I say, faith, actually what faith means is not giving up after a failure. Reflect on why you failed rather than wallow in your self-pity. Learn how to control your emotions. Learn how to control your emotions. I'm saying that again, in a stressful situation. If we have control of our emotions, we can bring any situation under control. Change in attitude when dealing with adversity. Your attitude determines your altitude, guys. Rather than wondering why it happened to me, focus on how can I get out of this? The lives of all great men teach us that beyond the banality of our existence lays an extraordinary purpose waiting for us. Gandhiji's life is a shining example of this. We must strive to become better versions of ourselves every day. And who knows, in the process, we might just end up leaving the footprints on the sand of time. Gandhiji's family practiced a kind of Vaishnavism, one of the major traditions within Hinduism, that was influenced to the morally rigorous tenets of Jainism, an Indian faith for which the concept of asceticism and non-violence became important. Many of the beliefs that characterized Gandhi's spiritual outlook later in life may have originated in his upbringing. However, understanding of faith was constantly evolving as he encountered a new belief system. Leo Tolstoy's analysis of the Christian theology, for example, came to bear heavily on Gandhi's conception of spirituality, as did the text of the Bible and the Quran. So Gandhiji read the Bhagavad Gita that we claim to be our holy book. He only read the Bhagavad Gita when he went to Britain, and he read this in the English version of it. So can you see, when we talk about Gandhiji, he was so diversified in his thinking. He embraced all religions, and he never looked at it as one that only had to be India in mind. As I looked at his ideologies and I read through this, I really had to rack my brain to say, which ones should I bring out? Because he's got so many ideologies. But there was three that really it kind of created a bulb in my life. You know, we're having blackouts in South Africa, but these three ideologies were like a bulb that shone brightly in my life. One was his ideology of correlation. Gandhiji advocated the principle of correlation in linking different subjects. Craft, according to him, is a pivot round which all other subjects should revolve. He wanted all subjects' needs to be correlated with crafts. Craft should be the starting point of our subjects and a meeting point of both the physical and social environment, according to him. Therefore, Gandhiji believed that craft should be a medium of instruction. He wanted that the whole process of education to be imparted through some crafts or industry. Now, guys, when we look at the people that are non-academics, wouldn't you think when we talk of inclusive education, this this ideology of crafting is something profound that came up so many decades ago. And I think as an inclusive education ambassador for South Africa, this correlation for me stands out. And I think I will future develop and grow on this ideology. The other was Gandhiji said, learning by doing. And Pujaji introduced us by talking about these ideologies that I imbibed. And she also looked at it. Certainly, guys, it's something that we all should imbibe. So learning by doing. His principle of learning by doing tries to stimulate that the individual's mind should think creatively, independently, and critically. His great emphasis on work culture to the students from the primary stage to the higher stage is to enable the students to start producing from the time they started their training. So his primary information of basic education was head, heart, and hand. Again, I say head, heart, and hand. Not like the emphasis we place today about reading, writing, and mathematics. We're talking about 4IR. And if you go back and you look at the correlation and the subjects, 4IR will come in because as you get modern in your creativity, the 4IR will fit in. Okay, so he said that learning should be permanent if it is permeated by doing. It can be possible if children are given opportunities to take a host of productive activities. So in his scheme, learning by doing was an important method of teaching. Under ideal conditions, true education can be imparted only by parents, and that there should be the minimum of outside help. On the Tolstoy farm in South Africa, Gandhi had an extended family in which Gandhi occupied the father of the home. And there he translated or he cascaded information as being one to train the young mind to think critically. And this, if you go into our journals at Inanda, and if those of you are from South Africa, take a journey there and read these journals about how he inspired different people. You'll actually be shocked to see how many of our political leaders cut their teeth under Gandhi's philosophies. Character building is a proper foundation for the education of children, Gandhi said. If the foundation is firmly laid, the children could and would learn all other things themselves or with the assistance of their friends. So Gandhi would say, a laborer serves his country with his spade, just as a man in the middle rank of life serves it with the sword, the pen, or the lancet. What a profound statement to include inclusivity again. So he's looking at all walks of life coming together and doing something to make a difference to the life of people. And the last ideology was learning by living. Learning by living. So as long as you're alive, you are learning. According to Gandhi, education is a realization of the best in man, his body, soul, and spirit. He maintained that education must be based on ethics and morality. Ethics and morality are integral to Gandhiji's life. All his thoughts and actions and speeches were based in these two concepts. From the ethical perspective, education must be considered as means of attainment of salvation. It's considered that non-violence is indivisible, important, and an essential part of education. Learning takes place by actually participating in community life and rendering selfless service to the cause of goodness for all. This makes learning social. Now, we know we want to expand our social circle, and how better to get immersed within the downtrodden and serve them to pick up their spirits. Building bodies should not be underrated, as such as physical labor should become an integral part of an education system. Every youngster must learn at least some useful vocation besides his career. As a rule, the youngsters should not be asked to do what a teacher will not do. And that is what for me is learning by living. A teacher in the classroom, a practitioner in the classroom, or any practitioner, whether you're at university, you cannot ask your students to do something that you yourself don't know how to do. So you have to practice and get yourself familiarized with the context and the concept before you can win over your students to learn this. So I can go on and on telling you about this, but there are some things that comes to mind. And I want to say, when it comes to Gandhi Ji, and when you look at him in South Africa, he has actually given South Africa a lot to hone and develop on. And I know I've got speakers, I know I've got listeners out there that will want to challenge me with what I had to say about Gandhi. I just picked out snippets of him. But when I look back at Gandhi and when he came to South Africa, he was not given a glorious life. He was not given a life that was all milk and honey. He endured hardships. Gandhi was actually thrown out of a train where he bought his ticket. And you know that if you purchase a ticket, you have the right to a seat. And when he learned by living, I would say, when he was thrown out of the train in Pietermaritzburg, which is now the capital of KwaZulu-Natal in South Africa, and he was thrown out onto the pavement. This didn't hinder him to become an uproar or to create a ruckus. He took this as the rule that came from above. And he worked around it in such a strategic manner that he showed the person that threw him out that I'll accept this because it's a rule. I would not break a rule. So because you have learned this kind of belief that I'm not supposed to sit in the first class seat, I need to be thrown out to go into the lower seat, Gandhi said, I will follow the rule. But later, he worked in the Transvaal in South Africa. So South Africa, for those of you that don't know, has got 9 provinces. And within the 9 provinces, and in that time, South Africa had only 4 provinces. As I said to you before, in 1994, we were broken off from the shackles of apartheid. And during the apartheid era, South Africa had 4 provinces. So predominantly, the Indians in South Africa either settled in Durban or in Natal, where our ships dropped off our indentured laborers that came in. And some of them made their homes in Natal. And that is why we have Tolstoy Farm in Natal and Phoenix. And the others that were business-minded moved to the Transvaal at that time. But in the Transvaal, there was also problems where the businessmen that also had the money and they had all the kinds of resources, but being of non-white distinction, they were treated improperly. And that was one of the things that Gandhiji fought. So when Gandhiji actually decided to go back home in 1902, when he went back to India from South Africa because he was called on some urgent business, a businessman from the Transvaal appealed to Gandhiji, please do come down. I need your assistance. I need you to fight this kind of discrimination. And it was from there that Gandhiji started building up. The Natal Indian Congress was built up during the time. And from the Natal Indian Congress, we have the likes of Mewa Ram Gobind. We've got Ella Gandhi, Gandhiji's great-granddaughter in South Africa, who helps shape or who helps nurture this kind of belief system where injustices are done. And you'll find that this humbleness, this thread of humbleness that comes is certainly cascaded from Gandhiji's genes. So I would say to myself, and I'm gonna be parting off in the next 5 minutes because I think I've given you a earful and a mouthful of words. But to the Indian people, Gandhiji gave a nation. I'll say to the Indian people, I'm not talking about the people from India, I'm talking about the Indians scattered throughout the world. And if you look at the likes of the USA and you look at Britain, I want you to just introspect. Look at the people holding the high positions. Look at the likes of our Deputy President of the United States, Kamala. She is an Indian. Go to Britain, go to Finland, look at Sweden. We've got our Indians placing their mark. And I say to the Indian people, Gandhi gave a nation. To the world, he gave Satyagraha. Now, Satyagraha, guys, is peace, that peace. South Africa would have become a war-torn country, like we have Russia fighting at the moment, and the upset in the world. South Africa would have become a battlefield, and we would have lost many. But with that Satyagraha principle imbibed by Nelson Mandela, arguably the most revolutionary idea of a long and rapid century, South Africa showed that that Satyagraha belief brought about the peace that we are living in under the sun today. He showed that political change could be effected by renouncing violence. Yes, renouncing violence, not being violent. That unjust laws could be defied peacefully and with a readiness to accept punishment, that sole force, as much as armed force could bring down an empire. And when I said that the unjust laws, I spoke about Maritzburg being dropped off the train. That unjust law could have turmoiled into a kind of a war, but he showed that these unjust laws could be rectified, remediated, revisited. These are the principles that as a teacher, any teaching practitioner, be it in the tertiary or be it in the schools, will know that we have to diagnose problems. We have to find remedial actions. We have to find interventions. And these are the principles handed over from Gandhiji's teachings, where he always looked back into interventions to improve what was not good. He improved, he introspected, he remediated, he created a whole holistic of follow-ups, if I may say. And these follow-ups actually made Gandhiji become so famous throughout the world. He drew his lessons from his readings of the Bible and the Tolstoy, including the Bhagavad Gita, and taught it to Martin Luther King Jr. and Nelson Mandela, and the countless other political protesters who would follow his example in the years to come. So in some sense, Gandhi's greatest achievements lay in his legacy. He was a simple man. He was not doing this for name or fame. But when you went back and looked at what he had achieved, these were all the legacies he left back for his ideals and the examples he provided by living out his ideals. So I think in much as we, all of us, are following the history of Gandhi, when Gandhi was doing this, he did not actually know that this one day would become history in the making. And I want to just take you back, being the academic forum executive in KZN. When we look at our curriculum in primary school, if there's two persons that our learners are learning about at primary school, grade 4, it's compulsory to learn about Nelson Mandela and Mohandas Karamchand Gandhi. Not because it was Indian and it was a black. It was because of these principles taught by these two. We want to start teaching in our children to be humble, sincere, simple, and to stand by your conviction. If you got a conviction, you stand by it. So when you are principled in thought, a person who's principled in their thought, they will never shake in the time of adversity. They will stand by their principles. And coming back, I would say I come from a family I've come from a grandfather who followed exactly in the footsteps of Mahatma Gandhi. And my grandfather had never had an education in a university. I'm talking about Shiv Prasad Maharaj. And he always sat us down as a family and told us, guys, you must never fight a fight with becoming violent. Fight a fight passively. Your words should speak louder than your actions. So I say, we never knew how his teachings resonated, but I can say you, in every Indian soul in South Africa, we've got some Gandhi in us. And I'm proud to say that Gandhi walked in KwaZulu-Natal, that's my province, and his name and his image stands in every walk of life that we go into. You'll see a picture of Gandhi, or you'll find a saying of Gandhi out there, showing us that he was an ambassador of change, an ambassador that made a difference to their life. So, to my listeners, I'd like to thank you for sparing this moment to listen to my thoughts on Gandhi. As I said, I could go on and on, but I just picked snippets, or I just took out strands of his nectar. He actually gave nectar or honey to the world, and I took a few strands from the nectar and I shared it with you. From the South African family, especially from the academic forum of KwaZulu-Natal, Gandhiji will always be our favorite. And I wish you well and urge that you follow the principle of Mohandas Karamchand Gandhi, our Bapuji, MKG. I thank you and wish you well.
Thank you. Thanks a lot for everything that you have shared, and I when you were giving examples, I could really resonate because I have seen many academic sessions starting with quotes, and even now, when I have started speaking about teachers' mental well-being, and when I started reading about this, I have I have come across many quotes and many sayings by Mahatma Gandhi Ji, where he emphasized on mental wellness, and the taking care of like overall development of an individual, not only academic development when it comes to education. Beautifully said. Thank you so much. And one of our viewers, like he could not join today. Is Robert Major from Taiwan, and he sends this message. I found this interesting. I would like to share. Gandhiji often talked with Maria Montessori and Leo Tolstoy. That is where she got her ideas for her education philosophy, which she called as cosmic education. All life must fulfill their cosmic task by doing their cosmic work, that is living, through cosmic love. The life force extended to all to sustain their lives. Cosmic education was to assist the child to understand his or her place in the cosmic plan. Our lives are all connected to all points of the universe. There is not a ripple that doesn't affect us somehow, like the kiss of the sun on the highest leaf of the highest tree that draws in the droplet of water through the note that is associated with that leaf, deep underground within the maze of the tree's root. So beautiful, I just thought of sharing this, because how
Oh,
everything is
absolutely.
connected.
Exactly. The foundational. The foundation is your root.
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you so much for joining us. Viewers, if you have anything to share from your end on the occasion of Gandhi Jayanti, you are open to unmute yourself and speak. We have 10 more minutes. Anyone would like to share your thoughts or feedback about this session, or what you felt? What is the takeaway? Anything?
Namaste, Poojaji.
Namaste, may I know who's this?
My name is Prem, yes. My name is Prem Ramlachan. I'm from South Africa and a very keen follower of Dr. Nadira Maharaj. And I must say to you that I've thoroughly enjoyed what I've heard this morning, because I'm thinking that I'm hoping more people would have actually listened to what you were saying, because there was only 13 or 14 people on the chat, and that's very disappointing for me, because the more of this gets out, the better it is for the greater world, not only South Africa. But I want to congratulate Dr. Nadira Maharaj on her lovely presentation, and at the same time, for your facilitation was actually very, very good as well. And the one thing that I've taken away from here, it's not one thing. I've taken away many, many, many things. And I'd like for her to do some more series on these presentations, because she just said that she told us just a tip of the iceberg of Gandhi's principles and values. So we want to know more about this, because the more we hear of her and what she's got to say, the more we will be addressing certain issues of curriculum, of the child at school, and that kind of thing. So Pooja, thank you so much, and God bless.
Thank you, Prem. And yeah, this is kind of disappointment, but for me, it's it's a common thing, and I have seen this, experienced this many times. But I feel that if we are reaching 10, that is just like reaching thousands, because it's you are the ambassadors, and you have to make sure that you share it further or you communicate this further. And that's one point. And second, yes, almost every weekend we are coming with talks where we are talking about same things with different point of views. And definitely, if you would like to listen, ma'am will be back with one more hour or a few more hours. And thank you so much for joining us. Anyone else would like to share anything? You can unmute and
Pooja ji.
speak. Yeah,
Oh,
Lily, please.
Ms. Pooja, I want to say something about this. Mr. Prem has told very few members are joining and all. See, Mr. Prem, one thing is there. We know that very less educators are here. So those are well educators and they need some information. They are joining. Those are aware of that. They are thinking that I know everything. They are not joining. That is the things. Okay, and if I'm saying that about any Instagram reels or Facebook reels, just skipping the reels and just scrolling that all. So many people they can do that, but these all are very informative things. What Miss Pooja is trying to do that. So maybe here less followers also will be there. They are not able to join and all things. That I can say that. But those are well things. Well, those want to really know these things. They are joining. Am I right, Miss Pooja?
Yeah, I suppose. And I believe that as you're all teachers and you are, you are having conversation with many children a day. So I think you will be the right ambassadors, and I'm okay with. And I think it's once we upload on the YouTube, I'll have further other people watching, and it will reach. Let us hope for that, because we started with zero and we are here, and I believe that will move further. And as as ma'am was saying, and as we always said, that it is change have to begin with us. So we have followed it. I think we'll influence others. Yeah, Lily, you wanted to share something. Lily, you're on mute. You're on mute. Yeah.
I've
Okay,
taken myself
fine.
off mute. Congratulations, Dr. Nadira Maharaj. That was really an amazing presentation. I am also originally from South Africa. I've been living in Australia for 24 years, and it really resonates with me what you've been saying about the tremendous impact that Mahatma Gandhi had in South Africa. And as you would know, because you're there doing phenomenal work in your community. I agree with what Prem has to say, that I would love many, many more people to hear your message. But, as someone who has regularly offered professional learning, I always feel like if there's one person in the room and they hear that message, as Pooja says, there is this opportunity to spread the word much more widely. So each person listening to this and taking some of that, I don't know, it's like universal wisdom that came to us through this incredible man, this incredible philosopher, teacher. And I love how today you brought what is often a very political understanding about the work of Mahatma Gandhi and framed it as education, with the idea, of craft and of learning through doing. I just really appreciated that. It opened my eyes in a lot of ways. So I really, really appreciate your time and Pooja's time and everyone else on the call today. It's lovely to spend some time with you. So thank you very, very much.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much, Lily, for joining. And there are few messages from Akhil and yeah, Lily already shared. Okay, so Molly. Yes, yeah, thank you. Thank you so much. I think that's from our end. Nadira, you have anything to add?
Yes, Pooja ji. When it comes to education, there's no end. Education is a continuous, infinite journey. And I think if each one, 14 of us on this chat today, can just cascade the message of Gandhiji in some way or the other, we will build a train that will encapsulate the world with this message, and we can change our community by doing this. And of course, we must share our links with each other so that we can also add value. We don't have to be on a platform like this to talk about Gandhi. We can talk about it at any time through our mails and through correspondence. That's the only way our network and collaborative engagements can change. Now, Dr. Ram Lachan is a very, very astute academic as well. He's done a lot of work in India. As he said, he follows me, I follow him and his wife, Molly, as well. They do a lot of work, and we are Indians in South Africa trying to make a difference, because we know that this philosophy that we learn, if we cannot walk our talk, then we are failing as educators, because all of us are in the education field. So thank you, Prem, and thank you, Molly. And Lee, I'm also very inspired by you, that from Australia, you have taken the time, and I can see Gandhi is definitely very close to your heart, because as I'm talking, I can hear you, see you nod, means that you agree that, yes, you're agreeing. And the thing is that we cannot give back, or we cannot describe this man adequately. For, as I said in my opening speech, in an opening, nobody would believe a person of this caliber walked on earth in flesh and blood, because he was a phenomenal individual. He took a beating. Okay, he had a political side of his life. Now, if we are not politicians, we can't go and cut into that, because we don't know the political dynamics. I was looking at his teachings. And when you teach something, you have to teach it with having a good background to the teacher. And Gandhi's teachings were so simple that his sayings are simple. And if you unpack them and you pass this message, yes, guys, if we pass this message, maybe 14 of us can change 28 others' minds, and that will go on and on and on. So, Pooja, I would like to thank you for this opportunity, and let us open up more tabs. Let us open up more tabs where we can talk about things to this nature. Of course, I spoke about Gandhi. We can talk about Mandela. We can talk about Martin Luther King. We can go on and talk. But we must bring about teachings and principles that will make a difference to the world or to the international arena. And if all of us can cascade this, how different will the world be, and how beautiful would it be?